Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer discretion is advised. This is episode 281 and it's self-reliance. And I just left it at self-reliance. What a better time has ever been than now to start being self-reliant. What does that even mean? It means being reliant on yourself, being able to get yourself out of situations, being able to get yourself into situations, being able to maneuver and to adapt and make changes and take control basically of your life instead of being controlled. And lately we've been on a real, that's the flavor that's been in my ears and in my mind of what can we do to get more of that, and experiencing a lot in my life where I'm minimally affected, if not affected at all, by many of the things that are going on around me. And I got to say, it's a really good feeling, and I want that for you guys too, so let's get into it. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. If you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm reporting live from my 7.3 liter diesel truck on my work commute, and I wanted to talk a lot on why now is better than ever, is because of all the shit that we have going on around us. You know, there's the supply chain disruptions. I've been shopping at office supplies, building materials, all kinds of things, and everybody's talking about it. Everybody's kind of looking around going, what the hell? We don't know what's going to happen, right? We have this great reset. We got all this everything's in jumble right now. We have this big thing with it's a construction company in China, one of the biggest companies, I think, and they influence a lot of the other parts of the world, including the United States. And they're selling off stocks. The stocks plummeted. They're selling off stuff right now. And what the professionals say is that this is the equivalent of what happened in 2008. Now, this could affect China a lot more than us, but it still could have an effect. We don't know. It's still premature. So that's the name of the game. Those are just some of the things that are going on where we can get triggered at any time. And to tell you guys, I don't like living like that. And the way I feel with these systems designs that we have going on around us is a lot of us are at the mercy of what's going to happen. And it's like having a forest fire come and burn your house down. There's a good chance, and there's a warning that these things could happen, and a lot of people are talking about it. We just don't know when, where, how big, what are the forces, who's going to come help put the fire out, because we're dependent on those systems as well, instead of being self-reliant and being able to handle a forest fire ourselves, metaphorically speaking. So I hate this whole thing where it's just jumbled up, and there's a lot still loose ends in my life that I look at that I want to button up so that I can do everything that I can to maintain my freedom and maintain the reliance, the self-reliance that I do have, so I don't have to have those stresses. I don't want to think about these things, right? So yeah, now's never been a better time than right now. I think even if times are good, it's still nice to be self-reliant. I want to talk about building and repairing soil as a philosophy when we talk about self-reliance. So what exactly would we do? We need to get the mindset straight, and we need to get some sort of idea of what to do, where to start. Now, nobody I can think can sit down with you personally and tell you exactly what you need to do. All of our lives are different. Some people have medications that they're on. Some people have physical disability. Some people have more ability than others. Some people have more wants towards something than others do. So it depends on what you want, what you're looking at, and what self-reliance even means to you. But the premise of self-reliance to me could be summed up in the philosophy of soil repairing and building. So when I look at it, what's one of the things that people can do right now? And in my book, start growing a lot of your own food. But in order to start growing your own food, we need to build the soil, right? That's where everything's going to start. It's the same thing in your life. So if we look at soil and we want to get abundance and we want to be self-reliant, we got to start nurturing that soil, right, of the self, and in our yards, in our gardens, or wherever we're gardening at. So we want to throw some compost, and we want to go get some leaves and things, and we need to be, I think, resourceful. A lot of people would say, well, all the inputs and stuff, I got to buy mulch, I got to buy this. No, you don't have to buy anything. There is a surplus when it comes to self-reliant thinking all around us, especially those of you who live in the major cities. There are trees being cut down every single day. There is lawns being clipped. People are paying to have that services done, and in some cases paying to have that stuff hauled. Whereas if you can come and rake up leaves for carbon and get yourself green cuttings of grass clippings and free mulch tree wood chips and things that are happening all around you. This is the mindset that you can look at your environment around you of what you have going on, what's going on around you, and how you can implement that into your life. And a lot of it, all it takes is a little elbow grease. A lot of it, like me, for instance, for wood chips, I just made a couple phone calls. I called up a bunch of tree trimmers in my area, and I've had probably about 10 to 12 truckloads of free mulch delivered to my spin farm site. Right? That's where I grow my food on somebody else's property. So yeah, there's plenty of abundance. And as time goes on, I think the dangers of people who exist right now, a lot of the younger generations and generations my age, Generation X, there's been a pill for every ill. A lot of things have been snappity, click, clap, really fast, right? We've got internet and everything now. You don't really have to wait. The convenience is really nice. But what happens when the convenience gets disrupted, like what we have right now with the supply chain disruptions, COVID, and possible recessions, and all of this crazy stuff? The whole thing just got jumbled. Whereas the soil doesn't really give a shit what's going on with El Grand construction company, Evergrande, whatever the fuck the name is, and what's going on in China, stuff like that. It keeps reproducing. The microbiology in the soil keeps reproducing. You give them food, and as the years progress, like wine, these things become more potent, more stronger, more better flavor, more adapted to their environment. And they keep giving back, which has nothing to do with taxation, nothing to do with the monetary system that we live with right now. These things just completely keep complementing you as you complement them. Self-reliance, as long as you give them a good home, right? So the foundation of our lives, I see, as far as self-reliance, is the same philosophy and the same methodology that we would use to build soil in our gardens. How could we do this for our lives? What are things that we can do? Like when I look at these kind of things, I look at health. I look at doing fermented foods and things like that, and getting yourself exercise, doing breathing exercises. Hell, just sitting around and taking some naps to calm yourself down, right? To gather knowledge and experiences, another notch on your belt of how things work, and whether it's computers or soldering electrical wires, or plumbing, or electricity, or roofing, or auto mechanics. All of these different skills, growing your own food. The more and more you keep practicing or knowing a little bit about these things, the more you start to build the fertility of possibilities that you have laying ahead of you in life, no matter what life throws you, right? You start getting some survival skills under your belt, how to simply just light a fire, build a shelter. If a bad catastrophe happened, even if you never knew or never had to utilize these survival skills of making a fire from scratch, the fact that you know how to do it and that you've done it once empowers you that much more further. So these are things that I look at that are not taxable, things that we can't teach in school. They need to be learned through experience. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't savvy to these things. I don't think it does capture a lot of interest. And it's a crazy thing because our systems are cracking and things are falling apart around us. And I think there's a lot of people that just don't know what to do. And to me, we need to grab life by the reins, ride that like a cowboy, and get the self-resilience back into your life, or introduce it to your life. So there's many, many ways that we can do. One of the things that I practice is minimalism. I practice essentialism, buying basically whatever's essential, only what's essential. Minimalistic living to an extent. I had to marry the two and bring my own stuff, as I said, into my lifestyle design, which I call the alternative lifestyle design. It's an alternative from everything else that's out there. So what we do is we grab the best of the best. One of the things that's been on my mind, what's happening right now, is I've been saving a lot of my nuts and bolts and screws and nails and all kinds of hardwares and things that I used to throw away off job sites and things like that. I organize them into little recycled bottles, so that I know that I have them. And it's coming back to the point where I was living minimalistic, and what would happen is I didn't have a lot of space because I live tiny. And when I started experiencing these things, as far as not having space, life was great. It was not a lot of clutter and things like that. But then it started to occur to me that I got to fix things. There's a lot of things that need to be done. There's the price of nuts and bolts, just to put it simple, they're skyrocketing. They're like triple the amount of money. Like you're looking at $10 just to find some simple bolts if you wanted to fix something, right? So gathering all of these things like we used to do in the Depression era, you know, my grandparents and my family members, that's what they had to do because things were very tough. Things were very rough. And we've gone through recessions and depressions and things continually. Things have been shaken up and they will continue for the rest of the future. The way our system's designed with fiat currencies and just all of this financial order, a lot of it's depending on money. But when I look at a self-resilient life is dependent upon those who can supply things for themselves. As I keep saying, becoming a producer of your life instead of a consumer. So, yeah, I think minimalism I have the problem with is that a lot of people don't own things when they take it to the extreme. Again, each individual's lives are different. You know, some people may design things in one way that doesn't even look like somebody else's. But the premise of minimalism, which I see a lot of people when they get into, is just I don't want to own shit. I want everything simple. And I think that it is nice to have that, but it also is nice, I think, to have when you're producing your own goods, when you're repairing your own things, your own appliances, your home. If you want to turn that into an alternative income, you know, you need tools to fix things for other people, to create services. And that's when I look at minimalism as it has some downsides to it. So I just thought I would throw that in there. So self-reliance when reliant on the monetary system. So meaning when you look and maybe you are minimalistic and you're saying, you know, or better yet, is you don't really want to grow your own food. You don't want to learn how to repair things. You don't want to accumulate tools and you want to pay somebody else to do things. Well, if you're able to collect to make that amount of money and you're able to pay somebody to do stuff and they're around, that's all fine and dandy. That it's reliant on a system. Again, those are things, in my opinion, that are out of your control. That you have to rely on other people to do things for you. And the product is the thing that gets me right now. Is a lot of product is some of it's being missing, some of it's falling short through the supply chain shortages. So a lot of people who know how to fix things can actually tweak things and make things themselves, which is very interesting. I haven't got into. I'd love to hear if you guys have. Is 3D printing. You can print up parts and make things. I think that's fascinating. I have not delved in that world yet. But I look on the monetary system. If you want to live self-reliance, there's a lot of other things that you can do, such as collecting seeds for growing your own food, growing trees, you know, brewing your own kombuchas and things like that, or stockpiling on a lot of things like canned foods and food in general. Get yourself a freezer loaded up with meats and stuff like that. Have it maybe prepackaged for you. There's places such as the Butcher Box and for a lot of meat companies where they'll actually send you pre-shrink wrapped meats, ribeyes, hot dogs, chicken, turkey, fish, you know, poultry, whatever. So stock up on these things and get yourself for self-reliance. Get yourself, use the money that you have to go and buy yourself, you know, 6 gas cans, 6 5-gallon jerry cans, the metal army ones. Get yourself about 30 gallons of gas stored up for yourself in your garage, so that if there ever was a strike or something happened with the oil and we had fuel shortages, you still got a way to get to work for maybe, hopefully, a few weeks until maybe things iron out. Same thing with your food. Same thing with your energy. I can see people reliant on money to invest in such things as golf cart batteries and solar-powered systems, even if it's just a small system to keep your laptop charged and your Wi-Fi, your internet. Right? Your little hotspot, you know, and charge your cell phones and things like that. A lot of things that you can do right now to get more self-reliant, even if you are just depending on the money, on the monetary system to just buy stuff. I really think, though, that that is not 100% proof, and I guess nothing is 100% proof. All I have to say is that when you know how to fix things yourself and you're able to practice these things, I think that you have a lot more self-reliance feeling. You have a lot less stress. You feel more empowered, basically, to where when you're depending on it for somebody else for things, it just seems like there's a missing link. And even if you are into just paying somebody else to do the elbow grease for you, it's kind of nice to at least know the structurization of how things work so that you know you're not getting ripped off, right? You know what a good deal and a bad deal is. I'm going to move forward to trading quality and integrity that is wanted and that will not be wanted to go away. So I look in self-reliance as one of the things I look at if shit just really hit the fan. I think I spoke about it yesterday's podcast. Is starting a CSA, collective food operation, where people invest their money in for chickens and turkeys and things like that, vegetables, and I grow them for them, and we distribute the food through shares. Right? The shares could be $200, $300, $400, $500 a year, and you get a certain portion of produce. What I look at this is that I would be getting paid. An individual could do these sort of things, doing a large-scale gardening, spin farming off other people's properties in exchange for paying the water bill and things like that, running a full-blown business. And what I look at self-reliance is that if there's any way, and again, this is like a philosophy, in the case of growing my own meats and vegetables and fruits and things like that to a CSA, getting paid, that's my job to do these things. And then the surplus goes to where? It goes to me. So now I finally found a system in my life where not only am I getting paid a currency, money, and things to sustain myself financially, but I also have the backup of a lot of extra surplus foods, meats, eggs, compost from the animals, drop manures and things like that. I've got seeds. I've got plenty of vegetables I can dehydrate, freeze. There's all many kind of things that I can do to where I've implemented in my life, and that sounds like something to me that would be a lot more appealing than just depending on the monetary system, which gets so wishy-washy, especially right now. So being able to produce a lot of my own energy and food, I look at is probably one of the two biggest things that we need to do. And all else, when things, really shit hits the fan, those are kind of things that we really need to depend on. So I see in our society, I think I don't know what's going to happen, but a lot of people are dependent on the monetary system to pay other people to do things. I can see in the future that with AI and things and robots, automation and things like that, a lot of things are going to change. And there could be a switch of hands of things that could happen. And again, there's so many things that can go wrong with that, right? A lot of the technology relies on energy. These computers, if the computer got shut down for any weird reason, the meatpacking houses got hacked, the oil plants, that one back east, I think it was in the lower south states, that got hacked. I forgot the name of it. That was about 6 months ago. And it really shut things down. So still, I say, for self-reliant living, I think that if we can model the businesses where you're putting something that's useful and wanted. See, by growing food for a CSA, fresh meats, the difference is that what I said, it wouldn't be wanted to go away, is that once people tasted and seen and smelled a home processed chicken, the meat is pink. It actually smells semi-sweet instead of being yellow and with slime all over it inside of a fucking bag with a beige yellowish color. And if you smell it, it's not really sweet at all. It's just something in it, right? So the difference is when people eat good food and when they see good things happening, just that for the flavor alone with the vegetables and meats, those are things where people who have the money and want to eat healthy and want to eat the great tasting food on the planet, they're not going to want those things to go away. So if we build things with integrity and worth, a great quality product, and it's actually useful. It's not a trend, or it's not a time where when you look at like pagers and stuff like that, right? Remember, if anybody remembers, we used to have pagers. People would page you from a cell phone, and you call that number, right? Nobody knew the technologies would go out. Look at what a cell phone has replaced. It's replaced alarm clocks, cuckoo clocks. It's replaced GPS. It's all kinds of different. But there's a few things in this world that we absolutely need, and I think they can synthetically make foods. I believe they already are, but nothing beats the raw digestive enzymes and the quality, the relationship of the human body with nature to live happily without diseases and things. There's a symbiotic relationship that comes from that, and it's indisputably It's felt with people. It's in your intuition. It's in your feelings. You know in your gut when you look at a healthy, rich, vibrant plant that thing is excellent. It's going to be good for me, right? So a lot of these things I don't think are ever going away. And if we can think this way in business, in life, in spirituality, if we can take this concept, this philosophy, and apply that towards businesses and things that we have going around us, how can we design our lives where these things are never really going to go away at all? And I think that a lot of this goes back to the old times, the old days, where, the horse and buggy, right? A horse and buggy, and I'm not saying we should all start riding horses and buggies like I did when I was a kid, rode a horse to school every day. But that the old ways of the horses reproducing, right? 2 horses fuck. They make a fucking baby. That horse fucks. And it makes babies. The multiplication factor, it's like perpetual motion. It's like saving seeds and everything. Chickens, rabbits, they fuck like rabbits. That's what people say. They reproduce like crazy. So this is perpetual, and it just keeps going and going, and the genetics and things get stronger and stronger as long as you do it right. And it is something that is completely necessary in life. So I invite everybody to take a look at your life, take a look at your occupation, take a look at the things that you're doing that are not only destroying the planet, but destroying yourself. And how necessary are these things? Is it self-reliant? Is it resilient? Is it sustainable? Right? Is it going to be here for in decades to come? Is this something useful and beautiful and healthy? And maybe most of all, does it make you happy? So let's take a good look at the grand picture of all of these things. And I think the last thing on my notes was to take a look and utilize all systems to their full potential. Now there are many things that we can do with money on the monetary system to improve a quality of life. There's many things that we could do without money that will improve quality of life. If we can marry the two and we can look at all of these systems and combine them together, as I said, if you were able to monetize repairing the planet, growing food, or teaching people how to grow food, which is one of my goals. How can we build that soil, that microbiology, that philosophy in our lives where not only is that soil feeding us healthy foods and we're repairing the earth around us, but our monetary value is going up. We're getting more money. We're getting a flow of residual incomes and things happening. And we're also affecting other people to teach them to possibly do the same, which is what I wish to do with my podcast, but I don't think this message goes very far with people. But that would be my message if my podcast ever went anywhere, was to get paid to actually do this. And knowing that I am helping people to actually create abundance and self-reliance in their life, and having them spread the word, having them spread this information, helping others to where it becomes a large number of us in the world who are self-reliant instead of just a handful of us. When I look around me right now, I don't see not my family members, friends. There's like very, very few, very few people that I look at are in a position where they would be able to be sustained for at least 60 days, right? In their lifestyle. Do they have the health? They may have the money, but they don't have the health. All of these things that are combined together. But the point is I would really love for everybody to have this experience because, again, like I said earlier, it's very empowering. It really alleviates the stress, and it's just pretty much the right thing to do for the earth and for ourselves and for our community of human people, the race of the human race on this planet. So that's the show, guys. I hope that stuff that kind of helped you guys out. I know it's kind of fumbling a little bit. I'm driving on the freeway here. But you guys know what to do. Everything's down at the bottom. Like, subscribe, hate, fucking middle finger up, 2 thumbs up. But as I always say, guys, more importantly, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.